Battlefield 1 offers a very different setup of weapons from its predecessors due to the setting of the game, World War I. Many categories of weapons we see today hadn't been invented yet, or they were in prototype stage. Many of Battlefield 1's SMGs, for example, are taken from later in the war after they've been developed and tested with troops on the front lines. The MP-18 was the German Empire's attempt to produce a weapon that could easily be carried and be capable of clearing trench lines. The Italians dismantled an anti-air gun, they cut it in half and handed it to their troops, and what resulted was the Automatico. And to signify this era of testing even further, we have the Hellriegel, a true prototype weapon. Only one unit is known to have existed, and the gun only sat through a very limited trial. The weapon has now been lost to history, but Battlefield 1 brought it back to life somewhat. So we've got SMGs, we've got self-loading rifles in the medic class, we've got shotguns with the assault, we've got LMGs for the support class, which again were weapons being developed during the war. They were being refined and fettled to bring them away from their older static role and then into a more infantry mobile role where one soldier could operate them on their own. And of course, bolt-action rifles. They were the staple of most armies at the start of the war, and they remained so pretty much all the way through. But what's missing here? What did Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 have in spades? Assault rifles. The world during the Great War was evolving, and so was the combat being employed by different armies. Overall, it was moving away from the lines and lines of infantry marching towards each other, even though that's much of what World War I ended up being. In the last years of the war, however, new technology came to the forefront and it allowed armies to employ new tactics. The MP-18 was sort of intertwined with German shock troop tactics. These were specifically trained soldiers who would storm enemy trenches with light weaponry and then hold onto the position to allow reinforcements to then advance up and take that properly. But there are many examples of armies looking to build a mobile weapon capable of inflicting heavy damage. Without really knowing what it was called, they were trying to make an assault rifle. And Battlefield 1, I think, has just got its first one, the Fedorov Avtomat. But is it a good addition to the game, you might be asking? Well, let's find out. The Fedorov comes in two different variants, the trench and the optical. Now, the trench is one of the few variants that you can use in the medic class that really benefits from being fired from the hip. And the optical features a lens sight and makes for better use aiming down that sight to finish off enemies who might be a little bit further away from you. Both of these variants need to be unlocked via weapon assignments, so to get your hands on the trench variant, you'll need to score 40 kills with the Che Rigotti trench and perform 40 squad heals, and to get your hands on the optical, you'll need to get 50 kills with the Selbstlade M1916 optical variant, and then 20 kills with the C96 pistol. Both of these assignments can be completed relatively quickly. You basically just need to play the medic class to its strengths, and you will come out on top and have both of these unlocked in a fairly short amount of time. Because the Fedorov is so vastly different from the other weapons already offered in the medic class, it's really down to your own playstyle that will dictate which of the two variants that you'll end up liking more. But both variants have their strengths and weaknesses. The trench, as I said, gives you greater hipfire accuracy, and therefore it allows you to be far more aggressive overall as a medic, something which arguably the class already struggles with. And the optical will allow for a more relaxed approach, I think, maybe using more cover and picking off your targets using those built-in sights. Regardless of which variant you pick, however, because the rifle works in a way that is much closer to the SMGs of the assault class, overall you might find that your playstyle becomes more aggressive. More aggressive than, let's say, it would be with a Mondragon rifle or the Selbstlade 1916. The fully automatic fire changes the position that the weapon sits when it comes to balancing. It's one of the few weapons in the medic class that has access to a fully automatic fire mode, but because it's essentially been built as a fully automatic weapon, it has to be treated differently. The other options, which have a fully automatic fire mode, the Tsar and the 1907 Sweeper, they are long format semi-automatic weapons, and they're primarily supposed to be used in semi-automatic fire mode and then switched to full auto when that's needed. Not only that, but the Fedorov actually features a 25-round detachable box magazine, despite in real life it being fed via a receiver into that magazine. In Battlefield 1, the soldier reloads it just like an assault rifle, taking out the magazine and replacing it with another one. None of the other rifles in the medic class have that kind of reload and have fully automatic fire. Some of the medic rifles do have magazine reloads, but they can't fire fully automatically, and that's why this weapon has to be balanced differently. Because of the aggressive nature of the weapon and its ability to compete at different engagement ranges to the rest of the medic rifles, the Fedorov sits in kind of this unknown territory right now for Battlefield 1. Recently, however, the CTE version of Battlefield 1 was updated with a new weapon balancing system, and that, at a high level, makes SMGs more effective at close range, makes shotguns more predictable, it makes LMGs more effective at mid-range, and it makes medic rifles more effective at long range. The Fedorov then goes directly against the grain of the rest of the rifles in the medic class, offering a lot of power at close to mid-range, competing directly then with the SMGs and the LMGs. In the main game at the moment, however, it feels extremely powerful against both the SMGs and the LMGs because they haven't had the weapon balance pass yet, and it will have no problem beating them, but once DICE applies those weapon balance changes from the CTE, providing they don't change that much, the Fedorov will become a more challenging weapon to use. It becomes the mid-range option for a medic to compete with support and assault players with a fully automatic weapon, solely designed for that purpose and not really much else. I think the reason that the Fedorov is going to become so important to Battlefield 1 is because it sits in the mid-engagement range, which is ideally what Battlefield 1 pushes on players pretty much all of the time. You might remember from previous games some massively open maps where long-range engagements were pretty much normal. In Battlefield 1, you don't get that anywhere near as much as you did in previous games, and overall the engagement ranges have been pushed in a little bit. The whole game feels a little bit smaller, and because the Fedorov sits in that mid-range zone, it's going to become a really powerful weapon in the right hands. It can combat almost any different type of weapon or any other class in the game. What the Fedorov rifle does for the medics specifically, however, is that it offers a new type of playstyle for the class. Now, the medic role is one that requires you to be in close contact with friendly players pretty much all the time. You've got to keep them alive with your revive tool, and you've got to keep them topped off with health with med bags. Until the Fedorov came along, the only weapons I'd say that were remotely balanced to really fit this role were the M1907 Sweeper and the Tsar, because they allowed for fully automatic fire. You could spam bullets into enemies at close range and wipe them out, then you could whip out your revive tool and bring your friendly players back to life. The other rifles being semi-automatic, and many of them balanced to win gunfights at mid to long range, they suffered and they didn't allow the medic to really get stuck in with some proper close quarters fighting. This is what I think the Fedorov is bringing to the table. The medics finally have a weapon that they can rely on in close quarters to back them up when they're trying to keep their team alive. So overall, the Fedorov is an awesome weapon, and it breathes some new life into the medic class. Hopefully we'll see more medics on the battlefield now, because it's one of the best classes to use if you want to boost yourself towards the max rank. Reviving and healing players is something that can happen hundreds and hundreds of times every single round. Loads of XP can be earned via doing those things, and they're good team play tactics. If you want to win rounds, you got to keep people alive. But thank you very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this brand new rifle down below in the comments section. Maybe let me know if you've unlocked it yet, and of course I'll be down there reading as many as I can. But until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.